So, after having played over 100 hours of Elden Ring, and full disclosure, I've yet to beat the game yet, but I'm wanting to take my time and I still want to talk about it. But I think 100 hours still qualifies me to do a video on it. I'm not one of these reviewers that played 20 minutes then uninstalled. No, Elden Ring, as you know, is from Software, which is known for making notoriously hard games. And this game is no exception. And believe me, if you play the game, it will challenge you to your limit and push your limit. However, no matter how hard a boss fight or a particular sequence may be, there's not one where if you keep trying and trying and trying, eventually you'll figure it out. Eventually you'll get it done. I got killed by the Lord of Blood like 30 times before I managed to kill him, and it was a rewarding experience, which is one of the things that make these games popular. The feeling you get when you beat one of these super hard bosses in a From Software game, it's a legitimate adrenaline rush. You would have to play it to know. And yeah, the game is kind of vague, but it's a true open world. You can go pretty much anywhere from the beginning, barring quest-related areas where you have to progress the game. The plot is your typical From Software game where it's there, but you have to dig deep, read item descriptions and whatnot, and even then, a lot of it is left to personal interpretation. But these games, you don't play for the plot, you play for the journey, you play for the stories you can tell. Like Godwyn the Golden, a very hard boss who I actually managed to beat on the first try, something that has not happened to me with one major boss in this game. Or the story, like most people, even Souls veterans, had a lot of trouble with Margaret the Fail Omen. He's the first major boss you fight, and he's very tough, and he will curb stomp you multiple times. But I found, as I play the game and keep going back and challenging him, and you don't have to be locked into that fight. You can go out, explore, level up, find better gear. There are many workarounds. You even have ashen summits that can help you fight the boss. But I found as the more I fought him, oh look, I'm consistently dropping a quarter of his health. Now I'm consistently dropping his health by half. Oh wait, am I consistently dropping his health to a quarter? I officially have his number. And when you see you're making that little bit of consistent progress with each fight, it fuels you to keep going at it because you know you're getting closer. And it is so rewarding when you do it. The gameplay is both complex and basic. There are lots of buffs you can use. There's different magic. But the basic melee combat revolves around a light attack, heavy attack, block, and dodge roll. I'm at the point now, I play as a samurai. I barely use the shield. I do a lot of dual wielding, and it's more effective for a more aggressive play style that I like to play, although that more aggressive play style has gotten me curb stomped more times than I care to admit. I've made some discoveries in this game. A friend of mine, Lethal One, was playing it too. He just beat it on his stream the other night, maybe last night if this video goes up today, but you should check out his live streams that are archived if you want to see what the game's like. But it was also fun, like, messaging him back and forth. sharing discoveries. This game is also more fun if you know people playing it and you can bounce things back and forth to one another. The open world is an amazing looking open world. The sense of exploration is also very rewarding when you find the map fragments and it shows more of the map on the screen. Each one is like a rush. I got like one more to go. This game is just extremely challenging but fun. I never thought I would get this far. I'm not good at super hard games, but this one keeps coming me back, and I find as long as you have that persistence, you will progress. You just have to be willing to put in the patience and learn the lessons. The mentality you really need for this game is when you get curb stomped, well, that was a learning experience. I learned how not to beat him. You may learn how not to beat a boss, like in the case of the player who's helping people fight the Queen of the Scarlet Rot. I can't think of her name. He has a character called Let Me Solo Her, and he's making himself available as a summon for that boss fight. He said he died to her 200 times, and that's just it. You may die to a boss 200 times. Granted, that's the rare example, and you're going to beat the boss before then. But let's just say you died to a boss 200 times. You found 200 ways not to beat the boss, but you only have to find that one way to beat the boss. And again, it's super rewarding. Most of the boss fights are tough but fair, except for the Lord of Blood if you don't have a certain equipment I didn't know about, which makes that fight excruciatingly painful. You have no clue. But still rewarding when you finally beat him. You may go to the boss again and again, but you're going to get the last laugh and you're going to laugh the hardest. There is a great variety of weapons, magic, armors. In armor, yes, some of it does give you better defense, but for the most part, it's cosmetic. In the boss fights are absolutely epic. So far, my favorite is General Radon, who is this giant whose feet have been destroyed, and he's riding around on a horse. And there are multiple NPC summons you can activate to help fight him, and you really need them for this fight because he is that hard. But the great thing about that is this battlefield takes place on a beach that's just looks ominous and foreboding, and as you're summoning in other NPCs marshaling your forces, it really feels like you and Radon are two generals clashing and you're marshaling your troops. It was a memorable, epic boss fight for the ages, and one of the best I've ever experienced. Again, I can't stress the feeling you get when you beat one of these bosses. It's almost an addiction. Like I said, it's a legit adrenaline rush. I've beaten bosses and like my hands would be shaking. I would be short of breath. Like the fight or flight instinct actually does kick in, and it makes the game all the more fun. I look at every enemy as a puzzle, and I just have to figure out how to solve it. Now, again, I'll throw some cheap areas out there. The capital city with the great longbow snipers, and the mage college, or as I call it, camper college, because it's full of mages camping in a corner with their magic projectiles waiting to attack you, and a lot of times you're going to have to react on a dime because they're in places you won't be able to see them. There's memes floating around the internet of these mages either with sniper rifles or two of them with a belt-fed machine gun, and that's what it feels like. But again, that's part of the fun. the story and just the community and the stuff they put out there, when you see the picture of two mages holding the machine gun, you know the pain. And the other fun little things the community has done, like if you've seen pictures on social media of a tortoise and it says this is a dog, that comes from messages people leave in Elden Ring, and that's a great mechanic too, not to overlook. If you leave messages and they get a positive appraise, it replenishes a flask. This has come in handy and helped me in clinch time. There is too much to explore that I could ever talk about in videos. Every catacomb is worth getting to the bosses. There was even one with an invisible boss. I didn't know about the torch that can let me see invisible things, so I had to think on my feet and be creative with this invisible boss, and it was very rewarding. I wound up summoning my dogs, and I would let them judge by how they're moving around where to attack, and it worked. I beat that fight because I was able to think on my feet, which is, again, the appeal of this game. The more you think on your feet, the better you'll do. Yes, there are a few cheat moments here or there. Yes, this game will push you to the limit, but as long as you're willing to push the game back, you will proceed. I'm over 70% of the way through the game, and it's really sad knowing more of this game is behind me than is in front of me, but I also know the reward of New Game Plus is waiting for me when I finally beat the game, although I'm fairly confident the last couple bosses are going to curb stomp me to oblivion more times than I'll ever want to count, but I can't wait to face them. I give Elden Ring my highest recommendation. Even if you're intimidated by these From Software games, maybe get it on sale. YouTube is your friend. There's countless guides on YouTube that can help you find equipment and whatnot. So check it out, or watch a couple Let's Plays and determine if you're intimidated by the difficulty. Like I said, maybe get it on sale, but you owe it to yourself to at least try and experience Elden Ring. There's a reason so many people are raving about this game. Like, share, comment, subscribe, over and out.